how likely are we to steal Peyton Watson from Denver?
I think it's extremely unlikely. I think the chances of pulling him tie entirely to offering an absurd amount of money, which then would not make sense for the Lakers. So for instance, I actually do view Tari Eason as like a legitimate target in a way that I don't with Peyton Watson. Like I would just put it that simply. Like if you're looking at Houston and the way that they're going to have to start paying all these guys, and Amen Thompson's probably going to be a full max type of extension. A Şengün's a full max type of player. They've just got a lot of like really high salary type of slots. And I could see a team like the Lakers offering Tari Eason, somewhere in that 20 to 25 range, and Houston being like, all right, fine, he can go. Whereas, a guy like Peyton Watson, you're going to have to offer 35 plus. I even would look at I'd rather pay like a Javonte Green and try to poach him from the Pistons for like 10 million before I would try to pay in the high 30s for a guy that I view as just a role playing starter at this point.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to, in terms of the Lakers side, it just comes down to the price and where that's at and what that potential contract looks like. But I'm with you. I think I said it on the show that if we're ranking, I would say that the top 3 restricted free agents are probably Walker Kessler, Peyton Watson, and Tari Eason. In terms of gettability, I would probably have them Eason, Watson, Kessler. And with Eason, I just think it comes down to Houston can only pay so many guys, and they're about to be on the hook coming up here for the Amen Thompson extension, the Reed Shepherd likely extension. They have Jabari Smith's extension kicking in. And you have this core here of, I think, when they're fully healthy, let's just say like beginning of next season, your starting group is probably going to be Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith, Kevin Durant, Amen Thompson, and then either Fred VanVleet or Reed Shepherd as your starting point guard. Ideally for them, Reed has developed more up to that point. So Tari Eason is more of a 6th, 7th man for them. And with some of the money that's going to be out there this summer, and I think he could be a guy that's in that 18, 20, $22 million range. That's a lot of money to be paying for like a 6th man on a team that could have 5 or 6 players who are making 25 plus million already. So I just think he might be a casualty of Houston's depth and cap situation. Whereas Peyton Watson, you could make the same case with Denver and some of their guys, but I think he's going to be a priority for Denver. And it's going to be, can we get off Cam Johnson first and potentially even Christian Brown second? I think Peyton Watson has ascended past him. Now, part of this will come down to how he performs in the playoffs, but then if he doesn't perform well in the playoffs, you also have to wonder, do you want to even pay him 25, 27, 30 million, whatever it ends up being? So I think Tari Eason is a much more gettable guy. I like Watson. He grew up, a big Lakers fan, went to UCLA. So there's also like the LA ties there. But I think realistically, Denver is going to prioritize keeping him, and maybe the Lakers could poach. I mean, I'd love to add a Cam Johnson or Christian Brown.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, I would argue too, when you're talking about, like, let's say when the league year turns over, Cam Johnson is an expiring 23 million. Let's say that Denver ends up re-upping with Peyton on like a 4-year, $120 million deal. So he's making roughly 30 AAV. I think you might be able to pull off getting Cam for like a 2nd round pick and just trading him into cap space. All right, quick break. And this one's actually something I've been using personally. Cold days, big games, busy schedule, no time to cook. That's why I've been rocking with Factor. I've been ordering their Protein Plus meals, especially the grilled chicken with roasted veggies. Perfect for me because I'm trying to keep my energy high for shows without feeling heavy after eating. What I like about Factor, quality ingredients, lean proteins, real veggies, whole food fats, no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils, and it fits the schedule. They've got 100 rotating meals weekly: keto, calorie smart, Mediterranean, GLP-1 support, even a new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. And the convenience is crazy. Always fresh, never frozen, ready in about 2 minutes. No prep, no stress. I use this, and you guys should too, especially if you're balancing work, school, gym, and Lakers games every night. Head to factormeals.com/LakersPod50off and use code LakersPod50off to get your 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. That's 50% off and a free breakfast item in every box for a year while your subscription is still active. Might be able to pull off getting Cam for like a second round pick and just trading him into cap space. It would be obviously a loss. It'd be a loss for that. It'd be a loss for that Nuggets team to trade a first round pick for Cam and then to lose him for nothing. But if you're a Nuggets fan, none of that matters if Peyton Watson is your small forward of the future. And what you really need is financial flexibility. And so to your point, like, I think if I had to choose between overpaying for Peyton Watson on some massive 4-year deal or getting Cam Johnson on an expiring, like as a guy that could be a placeholder at that starting small forward spot, and maybe it works out great and you re-up with him. You know what I mean? I just think I really like Watson. I would just be really careful about giving him an enormous deal when what the Lakers need are some starting caliber players that are in that like $20 million range.
Next one from DS. Thank you for the super chat. Y'all see the Durant drama?
I straight up don't believe it. I understand the evidence is compelling. Like, I know that these guys that are in these group chats with Kevin are guys that are like known Kevin Durant friends, and it would be kind of strange for a guy to be impersonating Kevin Durant in those chats. And so like, I understand that it's strange, but like, I frankly refuse to believe that a grown man in his late 30s would behave that way. So like, I am personally a doubter of this. Where do you land?
I believe it now, and what made so I was like close to believing it, but I there's been a lot of AI slop lately, and I was like, you could probably program some an AI to say like, hey, create some DMs that sound like Kevin Durant, right? And I think ChatGPT or Claude or whatever could do that, but then what was damning for me was his non-denial at the Rockets practice. Like, it was pretty much like, I just don't want to talk about this. And I was like, okay, well, that's not a denial. Like, if either of us were in that situation and our like DMs leaked or our burner DMs leaked, we would come out or I don't know about you, but I would come out and deny that if I didn't do it, right? If it wasn't me, I would be like, hey, this is someone impersonating me. This is AI. This is whatever. And you don't need to like keep denying it, but you need like the strong rebuttal. He didn't, have the strong rebuttal, and that to me was sort of like him sort of acknowledging, yes, this is me, but I don't want to talk about it. And if you guys ask me about it, I'm just going to, sometimes people will come out and be like, I don't want to talk about this in the press conference. And then you still have to ask them it, but like, he tried to do that.
Yeah, you're making a compelling case. Again, I see the evidence. I just can't believe that he would act that way. But like, again, maybe I'm just being too altruistic.
And then next one from Ben Benjamin G. You've both said 2 firsts for Herb is steep, so maybe one is heavily protected. But is there an avenue for 2 unprotected firsts with Vando? And then follow that up with the Claxton trade with the last remaining first. LeBron plays the 4 for 1 more year, address 2 of the 3 starters this offseason, and get the last next offseason. So he's saying 2 firsts and Vando for Herb Jones, and then following that up using a first to get Nick Claxton, keeping LeBron, and then you go into next season with a Claxton, LeBron, Herb, Austin, Luka starting group, which I do really like that starting group.
Yeah, so I said this to you on Tuesday. I think like the biggest win for the Lakers would be addressing starting 3 and starting 5, and then convincing LeBron to come back for 1 more year as a stopgap, because that buys you an additional year to figure out what you want to do with the 4 spot. However, as you have laid out, it would be extremely difficult for the Lakers to actually pull off using all 3 of their tradable firsts. And so it's really just about whether or not you can actually afford all of these guys. I do think a first for Claxton is something that's doable. I think getting Herb Jones with 1 first would be pretty difficult. The one thing that's working in the Lakers' favor there is Herb has extremely cooled off in his shooting. His 3-point shot has been bad the last couple of years. He's only 39% from the field this season. And then he's also just not a very good rebounder for his position. So, like, I think that if I'm Rob, I'm going into that conversation like, who do you guys think Herb Jones is? Like, I like Herb Jones. I think that he could start for my team, but why are you guys acting like he's Jaden McDaniels? He's not Jaden McDaniels. Herb Jones is not Jaden McDaniels.
He's also not been healthy. I think that's the biggest indictment of him.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, again, I think if I'm the Lakers, I'm trying to get Herb Jones for cheap if I can.